Greetings Exiles, and welcome to my short beginner guide for Path of Exile 2.5 and beyond. This is really going to work for any patch that comes out. It's just going to be something to get you started. The reason I'm making this guide is I have a few things to bring up that I haven't found in other beginner videos, and I wanted to make a very short, simple guide that you could follow from A to B and get you started without having to watch 30 minutes of video. So let's jump right in. So my first bit of advice to kick this off with is to have a goddamn build guide. A build guide to me is important because it's going to give you a basis of how to explore the game without getting frustrated and just getting murked by bosses at the start. Now, unlike other games, a build guide in Path of Exile isn't necessarily just going to show you every little bit of the game and give it all away. It's nothing like that. It's really just going to kind of give you a guide through the passive tree, because that thing is huge and very confusing at first, and I think it's important to play through the game the first time with a little bit of help. Now, if you don't want to build a build guide, I really do recommend that you start with a life-based physical damage build, because it's straightforward. All the armor that you're going to be picking up is either going to have a life roll and a couple resistances. The weapon's just going to have flat physical damage or physical damage percentages, and that's it. And it's going to be pretty easy to make that tree, because really you're just looking for a whole lot of life and a whole lot of physical damage. So if that's the way you want to go, that's how I recommend doing it. So my second bit of advice for you exiles out there is to know your leagues. This is so important because I see so many people starting out the games in a league that they shouldn't be starting out in, and it really just kind of gives you a bad experience at first and you might not come back. Start in the softcore default league. In 2.5 right now, that's Breach Softcore. You've got Breach Hardcore, which is not something I recommend. I don't recommend starting a hardcore character because you are going to run into things with bosses that you simply haven't faced before, and they're going to just turn around and one-shot you, and you're not going to like that experience and may not come back. Now, Standard might sound like that's where you should start. Standard League is really not a good name for it. I think they should change the name, because really Standard is just a trash league. When your hardcore characters die, they go to your Standard Leagues. Nobody plays in Standard Leagues, really. The more and more you play, you're just going to end up with a bunch of characters in that league with a bunch of remove-only stash tabs. Everything gets clustered and confusing. Also, Standard Leagues just don't have the content that the other leagues have. If you were to play in a Standard League right now, you wouldn't have breaches, which is the whole new patch for breaching, so you really aren't getting the full game if you're playing in a Standard League, so simply stay away from those leagues. The next bit of advice for your exiles is to find yourself a good loot filter. A loot filter is just as it sounds. It filters out some of the useless junk that drops in the game. The farther along you get in Path of Exile, you'll notice more and more junk just drops, and a lot of it is very useless. A good loot filter is going to reduce the clutter on your screen. It's going to make it a lot easier to see the useless stuff that you need, and really just make your progression a lot quicker and easier. One loot filter I can recommend to you guys is ZiggyD's loot filter. ZiggyD is a popular streamer on Path of Exile, and he's been making loot filters for a while now. He updates his loot filter every patch, and really it's just a solid, easy to use, easy to download loot filter. I'll put the link in the description below. My next bit of advice for you guys is to make sure you have some basic settings on that are just going to make the game easier for you to play, that they really don't mention at the start, or there's no tutorial for it, so I'll just mention them here. You really want to make sure that you turn on your enemy health bars so that you see them at all times. You're not just guessing how much life your enemies have. They're going to pop up as little health bars over their head, and it makes it a lot easier for you. You want to make sure your sockets are always visible so that you don't have to mouse over your items to see the sockets when they're in your inventory. They're just always going to be on. Make sure that all the loot is always showing when it drops so that you don't have to turn on a hotkey to see your drops, because you're just going to run into a situation where you will forget to press that drop button and you're going to run by some stuff that could be very useful or valuable to you. And finally, just tick this box here and always show your life and mana, because, I mean, as simple as it sounds, it's just going to show you values for your life and mana, and I'm sure you can see how useful that is. My last bit of advice for you guys is Don't listen to all of us nerds. Just have fun with the game. Path of Exile has a massive passive skill tree, and really anything is possible. If you like a skill, don't listen to the meta, don't look it up, because you're just gonna find a bunch of salty tryhards out there telling you that that skill sucks and it's impossible. Well, they're lying to you, because with this game anything truly is possible. Find a skill that you like to use and run with it. Look at this passive skill tree. It's massive. It can be done. So really, can't stress this enough, guys. Just go out there and have some fun with it. Alright guys, that's it for this video. If you liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and catch me on Twitch. I'll put the link in the description below. Thanks guys, have a good day.